Next one will be on protein energy malnutrition and obesity. I think all of you are familiar with the definition of malnutrition by the WHO. We have two important indices, wasting and stunting. Wasting is using the based on the weight for height index, and stunting on height for age. Under -2C score is moderate wasting and moderate stunting. For severe is lower than -3C score. And we know that nearly half of all deaths in children under 5 are due to, some of them, most of them is attributed to undernutrition. And this is the data from the WHO, UNICEF, and World Bank in the 2020 edition. Global stunting is 21.3%. And here showing this graphic show the distribution of stunting prevalence among the countries or regions, and you can see that sorry. Okay, stunting is very high in the South Asia and also in Africa. Excuse me, could you please turn off the microphone? Okay, thank you. And for wasting, you can see that the highest also in the South Asia region. Okay. And this is also, I think it's a family framework for you. We know that the immediate cause of malnutrition is the manifestation of infection, mostly infection, disease from infection, and because of inadequate intake, which is the underlying causes are inadequate care and also inadequate access to food and insufficient health service. And the basic cause is poverty, mostly poverty, inadequate education, economic, and also in some country there's maybe some violence or some wars that also affect. And nowadays it's COVID-19, because COVID-19 affect all drivers, potentiate the drivers of malnutrition. It causes our loss of job can and also affect the economics badly. So it increase poverty and increase the in access to food, and also overload the health service system and affect mothers and family very much. So we anticipate to see an increase of undernutrition especially in the early life, the under 2. Malnutrition affect all organ system, as you know well, affect the muscles of respiration, wasting, so the decreased vital capacity, affect immune system badly. It affect the mucosal immunity of the respiratory tract and gastrointestinal tract. So we see these children are increased to pneumonia and diarrhea. It affects the serum-mediated immunity, humoral, and bactericidal activity as well. This is also because of the accompanying the coexistence of iron deficiency, and decreased complement level and increase all these markers. For the endocrine, because of not enough energy, the children has the low blood sugar level, so insulin level is lower, impaired glucose tolerance, and not enough food, low metabolism by reduced level of thyroxine, increased aldosterone. Growth hormone is found to increase, but the active one is the IGF-1 decrease. Catecholamine and cortisol increase, and the muscle all over the body. There's a atrophy, loss of muscle mass, so there's loss of strength and capacity to motor movement. Okay. Digestive system, atrophy of villi and mucosa, GI mucosa, decreased enzyme, and at the same time, increased intestinal permeability. So we see bacterial translocation and gram-negative septicemia. Also fatty liver because not enough protein to carry to transport lipid out of the liver. Renal function, loss of ability to excrete water and sodium. Anemia, of course. Anemia from iron deficiency, from folic and B12 deficiency, and from also protein, copper, and other nutrients. Also vitamin A as well. Vitamin A also affect anemia. Body composition, in this loss of lean body mass, we see increased total body water, increased extracellular fluid, increased interstitial fluid, and most importantly, affect neurodevelopmental development, neurocognitive development, and cause IQ deficit. These children, this patient will have have to admit in the hospital, and we see increased because of low immunity, increased hospital acquired infection, complication, and increased morbidity. For severe case, clinically, we have two forms, kwashiorkor and marasmus. For this one is the edematous form. This one is skinny, thin. So body weight in kwashiorkor may be normal because of the edema, or slightly low. But for marasmus will be very, very low. In general appearance for kwashiorkor, have moon face, edema, may have or may not have ascites. For marasmus, the patient showed the skin and bone appearance, loss of fat pads. Skin in kwashiorkor, they will have dermatosis. I will show you the picture later. In marasmus, atrophic skin. Hair in kwashiorkor, hypopigmented. In marasmus, also hypopigmented and fragile. In marasmus is thin hair, fragile hair. Subcutaneous fat reduced in both forms, but severe, much more severe in the marasmic form. Muscle in kwashiorkor slight wasting, but in marasmus atrophic. Liver enlarged in kwashiorkor, fatty liver. In marasmus, normal liver. Affect or emotion in kwashiorkor, apathy. In marasmus, patient look hungry all the time. I don't, this one not in your hand now, okay. Kwashiorkor, moon face, and you see hypopigmented hair, and you can see here flaccid, hypopigmented, alternate with the normal color, more like normal color, so you can look like a flag, okay. And this skin, atrophic skin, you can see the vascular underlying vessels. Flaky paint, you can see that because of the macronutrient deficiency, micro usually also affected. You can see angular stomatitis, chylosis. Here, edema, pale, and bulging abdomen because of the enlarged liver. This is the typical dermatosis in kwashiorkor, flaky paint dermatosis. You see peeling of skin. For people, for doctor who not familiar to this, may think this is cause cellulitis or infection. Actually, it's from malnutrition. This is melasma, skin shrunken, wasted, no edema, dry, no hair, normal saliva, wrinkle, loose skin, no subcutaneous fat at all. You can see. This is the mixed form. This is the acute malnutrition on top of chronic malnutrition. So you see the edema on top of the melasmic picture. And these are the micronutrient that we see in micronutrient deficiency that we see in the PEM patient. We see this. This is iron deficiency, koilonychia. You see the thin nails, bitter nails, and this you see glossitis. Cannot see the papillae and red tongue. Can be from iron deficiency and B deficiency, vitamin B deficiency. And this is very important because it causes blindness. You see this poor kid initially we start with the bitter spot. You can see the desquamated epithelium here at the corner of the eye on the lateral side. And this is the conjunctiva, dry conjunctiva. And you can see usually it should be shiny like this, shiny, but this is dry. And also you can see cornea cirrhosis as well. And usually cornea will be moist and the reflection of light should be smooth like this, but you see shaky because cornea is very dry and it easily infected because less tear. Less tear, so you see that easily infected, and we call it keratomalacia like this, and dry dryness because of the cloudy cornea. This is the recommended investigation for the severe malnutrition, CBC, blood sugar, because we see hypoglycemia, very high case of hypoglycemia. Electrolytes, it depends on the condition of the patient, maybe low or maybe hypo or hyper. Excuse me. Can be high, it depends whether they have diarrhea or not, and it depends on what type of fluid treatment or electrolyte treatment they receive before they come to the hospital. Total protein decrease, albumin, usually we look at the albumin, creatinine, because of loss of body of muscle mass, we see low creatinine level, and if there is dehydration a lot, that will also affect renal function. This is all the about immunity. Lymphocyte count will be low, and in area with endemic malaria, recommend thin film, thick film. Actually, in Thailand, we do only this lymphocyte count because C-reactive protein is too expensive. So use this to like a proxy of the immune function, and to check whether there is a bacterial infection or viral infection. Stool examination to check the parasites. For treatment, we divide into 3 phases. The first initial treatment is to correct electrolyte imbalance and metabolic complication. For example, hypoglycemia, dehydration, or electrolyte imbalance. Check. We correct this in the first 1 or 2 days, and treat infections, usually pneumonia or diarrhea, and correct other micronutrient deficiency, for example, phosphorus, magnesium. But not iron in the first week, because if we give iron, it will increase the morbidity, because iron is also it will feed bacteria, and bacteria will grow. So no iron during the first week until we can control infection well. And begin feeding early. Increase in the first week, increase the carry slowly. Otherwise, we will have the refeeding syndrome. And then the second week is for catch-up growth. We increase the energy and protein and all nutrients. So we have to achieve the catch-up growth. And when children are all right, okay, no sign of complication and can grow well, we discharge and follow up. Because children with malnutrition, they starve, they use up all glycogen, and they also catabolize protein to because the body want glucose. So protein and fat is metabolized to synthesize glucose. So in this case, protein, fat, mineral, electrolyte, vitamin in the body depleted. Also salt and water intolerance because of increased aldosterone. When we start feeding, we switch the patient from catabolic state to anabolic stage. And if we do it too fast, the major energy source that we give is carbohydrate, glucose. It will stimulate insulin secretion, and insulin will increase glucose uptake into cell, because of energy metabolism, need thiamine, and also uptake of potassium, magnesium, and phosphate to synthesize ATP. So there's an increased anabolism. If it happen too quickly in the state of depression, if we have not replenished all these vitamin and minerals, patient will suffer hypokalemia, hypomagnesemia, hypophosphatemia, thiamine deficiency, and worse, some come up with death. The most important features or the hallmark of refeeding syndrome is severe hypophosphatemia. So to prevent this, firstly, we have to be aware that this patient who go on, who have went on starved for a long time, fasted for a long time, or malnutrition for a long time, it can happen in other, not primary malnutrition, in secondary malnutrition from disease, for example, from chemotherapy patient, we also have the case like that. We have to be aware when we start refeed. We need to assess all the electrolytes and vitamin, and we have to realize that it happened to patients who are fed by oral. They eat their food. If the appetite come back very well, they eat a lot. We have a case with a cancer patient. Just one day, she ate a lot, so much she developed hypophosphatemia and refeeding syndrome in the next day. Or we tube feed, or even we give parenteral nutrition. It can happen either any route. So we have to carefully restore the circulatory volume, not give too much fluid, monitor pulse and fluid balance, and also the important thing is gradually increase energy administration over the week, maybe 4 to 10 days, to achieve the normal requirement, and then after that increase for catch up in the second week or third week. Another important thing is given electrolytes and vitamins to prevent the important minerals. Electrolytes is potassium phosphate that I point out to you, magnesium, also zinc, and vitamin B1, thiamine. For the ambulatory case, we see high dose of wasted and stunted. This is the principle of treatment. We can do it in the ambulatory setting. Dietary management. The principle is to increase energy density and giving micronutrients. Also sleep. We know that sleep is the important factors. Is the stimulator of growth, exercise as well, and medication here, multivitamin and zinc. We give zinc here, and also do some initial investigation to see whether there is any underlying diseases. Sorry, this one just to I just want to point it out that for normal babies, we recommend half spoonful of oil, cooking oil a day. But for this underweight or undernourished babies, I mean in the OPD, we recommend higher amount, maybe half spoonful for each meal. You can see that we have like a demonstration food model, and parents very interested in take the picture how much they should give to their babies. Dietary management, increase energy density by adding cooking oil. Okay, adding to soup for our food. We adding to soup. We have suggest fried rice or fried noodles, and use fatty meat and fried foods. Okay, for those who don't, for mother who don't give, I mean, no cow's milk, we recommend 2 to 3 glasses a day for toddlers. But for those who drink too much and don't eat main meal, we advise them to reduce. So just 2 or 3 glasses per day for this age group. Wean from butter, because if they have milk, butter, they will, I mean, sometimes suck a lot of air, and they have a full stomach. And also quit nighttime feeding because this disturbs sleep. Avoid energy dense and nutrient poor snack. Those crisps, those fried snack which are high in carbohydrate and lipid and fat, but no protein or no vitamins, we recommend them to avoid. And also sugar sweetened beverage. Because of young children, they have a small capacity of stomach, so they need some snack. But snack should be healthy snack, contain food groups other than carbohydrate and fat or sugar. So should contain also meat and vegetables. We recommend 2 times a day for small children, and should offer to children at least 1 hour before main meal, otherwise it will disturb the main meal. I already shown you this slide, but I want to share with you this study. They study the effect of sleep on growth. In lean children, those who slept more grow taller and gain more weight than those who slept less than 9 hours for the toddler, for the under 5. And when they sleep longer, they had significantly higher C-score weight and BMI. For medications, I usually give multivitamin during the initial phase before they can reach the recommended quality diet. I also check and whether the patient has anemia. If anemia, iron deficiency anemia, treat it. In the case with no anemia, I usually give weekly iron supplementation and diet counseling. I also give zinc after because we can have blood test for zinc. If zinc is low, I give 1 milligram elemental zinc per kilogram per day. This is from this study which showed that this increased growth. But if you give both iron and zinc, do not give both of them at the same time because it will interfere absorption of each other. So should give it at least 2 hours apart. Appetite stimulants. Parents love to ask for this, but we don't have good appetite stimulants. The one we used in the past, long time ago when I was medical student, is Cyproheptadine. It's the antihistamine with anti-serotonin effect. It's an appetite stimulant. But most studies were small in size and not a good evidence, not high quality evidence. But it also have a sedative effect. And if you use it for a long time, it can cause tolerance. You have to increase the dose to get the effect. And most importantly, it suppresses growth hormone secretion. So we don't use it for children to stimulant. Some Cyproheptadine is used in some condition, but not for just undernutrition. This is another drug, pizotifen. It's a benzocycloheptane drug. Used primarily in the prevention and reduce migraine in the past, but it was marketed as an appetite stimulant in developing countries. It's very not appropriate to do that. There are no evidence at all about this medication. So when to refer or admit, when you see this patient at the outpatient clinic, if that patient has edema or other sign of kwashiorkor or marasmus, patient should be admitted. If there's no weight gain or weight loss in 3 months after you do counseling, need to check, and need to check whether need to refer to specialists. Maybe there's some underlying causes, and this is the red flag. Okay, dysphagia. If patient has dysphagia, abnormal swallowing, vomiting, diarrhea, atopic conditions, failure to thrive, developmental anorexia, all these should refer to specialists. Okay, that's for clinical part. For the community part, Thailand has been very successful in reducing malnutrition. We have done that through the poverty alleviation program, and the strategy that we use, we have the facilitators and mobilizer in the community. Facilitator is the local government, local level government official, and mobilizer is the village, is the villager themselves. Okay, I show you this one. Okay, this is the government service in the poverty alleviation plan that is, I think, 20 years ago. We integrate all this service through facilitators. Facilitators mostly maybe mostly from health ministry. Okay, facilitator who work in the village. The ratio is 1 facilitator to 10 to 20 mobilizers. Facilitator will work with the community leaders to plan and implement and monitor the intervention, and also work with the mobilizer. Mobilizer have been in Thailand 20 to 30 years. We call them village health worker, and now they have played a very important role in preventing spread of COVID-19. We have been very successful through this mobilizer village health workers. 1 to 10 to 20 families they're responsible for. Mobilizer will take care, responsible for families, for counseling, organize the meeting, or to getting service and getting referred to ANC or WCC, growth monitoring, and giving micronutrient. So this is the way that the structure, the pathway that we do in the past that we can achieve reduction of malnutrition. Okay, I stop here for the, okay, mobilizer to population. This is the ratio to family, but to population is the ratio is 1 to 50 or 1 to 100. Facilitators to population is 1 to 500 to 2,000. Okay, I stop here for the first part. And you are so quiet. Any questions I would like to share, because I am sure that you are all experienced.
Hello. Hi. May I ask a question?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Farhana from Malaysia.
Yes. Hello.
I have a few questions for you. Okay, one question is you're talking about refeeding program in hospital. So do you have refeeding centers in all your hospitals? That's one question. Second question is the criteria for admission for refeeding program. Do you follow certain charts? Like, do you follow weight for age chart, or do you follow weight for height chart? I mean, the criteria for admission for this refeeding program. And then that's the second question. And the third question would be, sorry, I have a few questions. Because in India, we also have a few areas, high-risk areas where we have high numbers of malnutrition children with malnutrition. And last question would be, you mentioned about community level in handling malnutrition. For us in Malaysia, in certain high-risk areas, we have these community feeding centers. So I would like to know about in Thailand, do you have like community feeding centers? In Malaysia, we have only a few places. We have this kind of refeeding feeding centers in the community, because the children, after they are discharged from hospital, sometimes they will it will relapse. The malnutrition will relapse. Yeah, so that's why we have this community level centers. What about in Thailand?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you for your questions.
Yeah.
Firstly, we don't have a feeding center either in the hospital or in the community level at the moment. I mean, personally, because in the past, 30, 20 years, 25 years ago, we did have community feeding, but not a center. It's not like a center, but it's the gathering of all the mothers to do complementary food and distribute to families. That in the past. But now the prevalence of malnutrition is not high and not severe in Thailand. So we don't have feeding center anymore. And in the hospital, we never have the feeding center. We admit patients with clinical severe malnutrition. Okay, we admit by using the criteria. I mean the kwashiorkor and marasmus, and usually we don't see much of the primary severe malnutrition. We see severe malnutrition secondary to disease. So mostly this patient already in the hospital or admit because of other diseases. So we treat that underlying disease and nutrition at the same time. We don't see much of primary severe malnutrition, but we see a lot of the opposite is obesity. So that's the opposite thing. So we admit, so if it's primary, we at primary malnutrition, we admit only the clinical severe malnutrition. Okay. The second question is, what is the second question? Do I answer all your question now?
Yeah, I think you did. It's just the second question was, I was just asking whether you have any specific criteria of admission for these children.
Okay, I have answered that. Okay. Other question? Or would you like to share your experience? Your
teacher. Yeah, I have question.
Lester and Danny. Lester first. Okay, Lester and then Danny. Okay.
Thank you. Well, I'm not clear about what is the main function of mobilizer and the prevention of undernutrition problems. They are like educational or intervention. What is the main function of that?
You asked about the last slide, right?
Mobilizers, yeah.
Mobilizer. Yeah. You ask who are the mobilizer. Mobilizer is the villager themselves. They are villagers. They are not professional. They are just people in the village who we choose them because they have the willingness to serve their fellow villagers, and then we train a little bit on how to assess malnutrition, how to give advice, and how to detect some abnormality. It depends on what project that we are going to do. In the past, about malnutrition, we train them to help measure weight. In the past, 30 years ago, we used weight for age. Okay, we use weight for age. But now we use weight for height and height for age. Because we know weight for age, we cannot differentiate the acute and chronic. But at that time, it's difficult to carry length measuring board to the village. So we have like a simple weighing machine for them to help us do and screening, and then give some advice and bring the case to the local hospital. Okay, so the villagers that are willing and happy to do this, and they are so very socialized, so they know their the families in their responsibility. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
And now because we have now the malnutrition is much better. So in the past, I think 5 or 10 years now, they mostly do the NCD screening. They do the early detection of diabetes in the village. Now we are talking about they should involve now on the, I mean, on children again. Okay. Danny, what's your question? Yes. Danny, you still?
Yeah, thank you, Professor. Yeah. Yes. Regarding to the stimulant appetite medicine that you have mentioned too, one is a Cyproheptadine, and the second one is a Pizotifen, right?
Excuse me, excuse me, there's some echo that I cannot hear you well. I cannot.
Anyone please turn the phone, please. Okay, can you hear me?
I cannot hear you well. I don't understand your question. I'm sorry. It's echo.
Is it clear now? Is it clear now? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, please try again. Please try again.
Okay, good. Do you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Do you? Okay, My question is related to the stimulant appetite. That you have mentioned about two drugs. One is Cyproheptadine, second one is a pizotidine. And
Yes.
you also mentioned that for using Cyproheptadine for a long time, it can cause growth hormone depression. But how long that you have mentioned, but for long, but how long? 1 year, 2 years, or something like that?
Oh, I'm so sorry because we stopped. We have not used this drug for a long time. I cannot remember the study now because this is the study in Thailand. The endocrinologists did this study. I'm not sure for how long. I'm so sorry, but because this potential adverse effect. So in Thailand, we do not use this drug anymore for stimulate appetite. So we just give advice. So sorry, I cannot remember. It's 10, 20 years now. I mean, I have to have a look first. Okay. Yes. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
And any more questions?
Professor, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yes, this is Romeo from the Philippines. Apart from using or taking the weight for height or weight for length, is Thailand also using the mid-upper arm circumference for children six months and above to identify if there's acute malnutrition or severe acute malnutrition? Over to you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. The WHO recommend mid-arm circumference as one of the criteria for diagnose SAM, severe acute malnutrition, and also for the criteria for admission. But in Thailand, we never use mid-arm circumference. We never, I mean, for a long time from the beginning. Maybe I don't know why in the beginning before I started the medicine, maybe it's not practical for in Thai context. I mean, even actually mid-arm circumference is quite a good screening thing, because you know that it does not change much during the first year to 5 years. So you can use one cut point for diagnosing malnutrition. But we never train our health personnel or our health personnel in the front line to use this. So we don't have the criteria for mid-arm circumference in our guideline. But we train our medical student to do that. Our doctor know how to do that, but not for the primary health
public health
workers.
implementation.
Yes, no,
Oh.
they don't have that. Yes.
Thank you, Professor.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, hello, Professor. Thank you very much for the presentation. I'm from Swaziland.
Yes.
Yes, and we also have this program for managing malnutrition. I just want to find out, in the presentation in diet management, you mentioned gradually increasing NH and all that. I just want to find out, do you use the commercial therapeutic foods, like the therapeutic milk, the ready-to-use therapeutic food? Do you use that to treatment?
Are you talking about the food that therapeutic?
Yes, therapeutic food, like
food that
therapeutic
recommended by WHO? right?
Yes, F100, F75.
No,
You know.
we don't have that. We just use milk. I mean formula that we usually use for infants, and for older children we just use normal. I mean just milk formula that we have. We never use the F75 or F100. No, we don't have
Okay.
that experience. And it's,
Okay, and that
easy for us because we don't have to have another, I mean, to have another food. We just, when we communicate or educate, train our health personnel is easy because we just explain to them, use the formula that we have, but we can modify by increase the energy density for the first, for catch up period. Yes.
catch up. Okay, and then how are your outcomes, and what is your recovery rate, because you're using your own foods instead of the ones recommended by WHO?
No problem
How
at
is the
all.
recovery rate?
Yes, I usually in about 2 or 3 weeks they can catch up very well, and I see we never have experienced the whole country. It's the policy of the Pediatric Nutrition Association and policy of the, I mean, of the ministry as well. They don't use that. They don't use the F75 and F100. We don't have problem. Our case we can treat very well. No complication. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and then, sorry, I have a few questions. And then
Yes.
is the treatment free? Is the treatment is managing malnutrition free? And then also, how do you are your indicators, the cured, deaths, are they integrated into your health management information systems?
Yeah.
Do you get the
In
data?
Yes. In Thailand, we have universal health coverage. In Thailand, we have universal health coverage. It means that you don't have to have insurance. You don't have to have, I mean, like in other countries, you don't have to pay.
Okay.
If you don't want, if you want the private, I mean, you want a special room, you want a special food, then you have to pay. In that case, you are out of UHC, because in UHC we have all the essential and I mean the high quality treatment for all. We have I mean 2 or 3 schemes. We have the universal health coverage, which cover about 70% of the population or more than that. We have the government officer system, that we have a scheme that also all the expense is covered if follow the guideline. If you need other extra or other fancy thing, you have to pay. Okay. And then we have the social security, I mean for the workers who pay, and the employer they pay, they co-pay into this scheme. So we have 3 schemes, and also we have the private for those who don't like to go to public hospital. They can go to have premium room like a hotel, and then they pay themselves. So there's no problem. Even for COVID-19, they don't have to pay. All get the equal treatment. No, if they follow the guideline. But if they want to know whether I'm infected with, I have COVID or not, but I don't have the risk factor, then I have to pay. But if you are in the, I mean, in the list, or the list that for the, I mean, criteria, you don't have to pay at all. I saw the question about the, I think, about the mobilizer village health worker. in the beginning, you know, the idea of the people, of the doctor who started this, in the first, the first group, the first batch of village health volunteer, they are volunteer, no payment at all. But I'm not sure when the payment started. It because of the politician. I cannot remember. They pay a small amount. I mean, maybe 600 or 600 or something like that. And then now, for the COVID, because of their hard work, government, like or some people in the ministry, I cannot remember, like promise them because they work very good and they will give some increased payment or something like that. But the principle, the concept in the beginning, no payment. But they can have some, health service. I cannot remember the benefit. Some benefit, but no payment in the beginning. But now they get a small amount of payment, very small. Yes. We have obesity. Shall we go on to obesity?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, this is the chart showing the overweight prevalence all over the world, and you can see that it's high in the developed country. Okay, for the South Asia is quite low. Purple, the purple color countries is 5 to 10%. This 5 to 10. South Asia is less than 5%. Northern Africa is quite high, 11%, and also South Africa. Okay, so the prevalence of obesity, overweight, and obesity is increasing, and we see double burden of malnutrition. Actually, now UNICEF started the term triple burden of malnutrition. They include undernutrition, or obesity. Undernutrition is wasting and stunting. The second one, overweight and obesity, and the new one is micronutrient deficiency. So now they try to they tell us to look at these three things, because in the past we just maybe the government neglect the micronutrient deficiency. And obesity affects all organs in the body. For the psychosocial, poor self-esteem, depression, and for neurological, pseudotumor cerebri, patient come in with headache and vomiting with no pathology, just increased pressure, and when weight reduce, this symptom gone. The common manifestation of obesity in young children is sleep apnea and brow disease. This is common, and now we see more and more of acanthosis nigricans. Sorry. Acanthosis nigricans in young children as well. So sleep apnea is quite common in young children, and it's associated with a patient with asthma, because asthma and allergy, they have adenoid enlargement, so that cause snoring. And if they obese, a lot of fat here also cause the narrowing of the airway, and we see sleep apnea. The brow disease, bowing of leg, is quite common in the young children. For older children, is the slip capital femoral epiphysis. Here, slip here, so this leg cannot grow well like this one, so there's deformity. Other thing is endocrine problem. We see more and more of type 2 diabetes. For adolescent girl, there's a polycystic ovarian syndrome, okay? And for liver, in the obese children, we see a lot of steatohepatitis or fatty liver, okay? In kidney also, we have cases of glomerulosclerosis of obesity. Also, metabolic complication other than type 2 diabetes are dyslipidemia, hypertension, and also we see case stroke as well. We have a case of stroke in adolescent about obesity in our country. And in our country, we see case proportion of type 2 diabetes increase 3 to 4 times in 10 years. So we see more and more cases of type 2 diabetes now. Obstructive sleep apnea will cause attention deficit, hyperactivity, hypertension, and right heart failure. So when patient come in, obese patient come in with can come in with hypertension, we have to ask whether he has snoring or not, because this can cause hypertension, and in the end, is it right heart failure. This is actually we have our own study, but this is from a Japanese study which have a longer duration of follow-up. You can see that with increased case of obesity, they see increased case of type 2 diabetes, and this is a problem now. We have case in the newspaper, 10 years old, BP, blood pressure very, very high, and come admitted because of heart failure. Obesity also affects cognitive ability because of sleep apnea, attention deficit, which will affect learning. Obesity is an inflammatory disease. In obesity, one marker of inflammation is hepcidin. Hepcidin increase. Hepcidin will inhibit iron absorption in the GI tract, and obese patient has been found to be at risk of iron deficiency anemia. And their study, including our own study in Thailand, we show that obese children has a poorer school performance. And if we do nothing, obese kids will increase risk to obese adults and with NCDs. What are the causes of obesity? The first one is biology, but we found that heredity explains, yes, 40 to 70% variation in weight. But monogenic obesity, I mean mutation, very, very rare, very rare. Only very few cases are mutation of monogenic obesity. Mostly is polygenic, and is because of the environment, food environment and physical activity environment. What is the food factor? Not breast fat. Not breast fat increase risk of obesity. High protein intake, I have already mentioned about this. Sugar sweetened beverage, energy dense snack, and the protective thing is fruit and vegetable. This kid eat less fruit and vegetable. For the physical activity, they tend to be sedentary. They sit most of the time. They watch TV. They play video games. They use their iPad, tablet. Okay, so they're less physical active and less exercise, And importantly, no, not enough sleep because of all this social media and all this game that they play through the night. Management of overweight and obesity. Also, the principles are the same, similar to the malnutrition, similar to undernutrition. Dietary, physical activity and exercise, sleep, and medication. The same thing. We don't have good medication or safe medication and effective medications for obesity at this time. We did have some drugs for obesity in the past, but it's not safe for children. And after some time, it was withdrawn. The two drugs were withdrawn from the market because of the complication to heart, to cardiovascular system, and complication that relate to suicide. You know, because they act on the hormone, on the neurotransmitter, the same thing that also affect the emotion. Dietary management. Reduce energy dense food. It's very easy to say, but it's difficult to practice. Reduce energy dense food snacks, high fat, high sugar, and high salt. Avoid sugary beverage. Increase vegetable and fruit. This is principle. I think most of us know, but it's difficult for parents to have to practice with their children. For milk, the children who are older than 2 years, we can give low fat milk, but for the under 2 years, it's not appropriate to give low fat because young children, very young children need high fat intake. As you know, breast milk, 50% of the energy is come from fat. This is the nutrition fact that we have in, sorry, I think I have, okay. I have the English, okay, explanation. This is the food-based dietary guideline that we have for the 6 years old onward. I have shared with you the FBDG for the under 5, now for the 6 year up. The area on the flag reflect the amount, and here they show the several varieties of food that provides energy. So this group is rice or starch, also bread, this sticky rice, noodles, this Thai noodle, maize, and also potato and yam. Okay, the recommendation is 8 to 12 liters per day, according to the amount of the level of energy required. 1,600, 8 for 106,000, 10 for 2,000 kilocalorie, and 12 for 2,400. This is for those who have high intensity activity, for those who use the labor, something like that. Okay. The second level is the fruit and vegetable. You can see that also we recommend to eat this one a lot. For vegetables, several colors, has different phytochemicals. So we recommend to them people to eat 5 colors. Okay. The amount recommendation is 4 to 6 liters a day. And for fruit, oh, sorry, not come this way. Okay, fruit 3 to 5 portions a day. Okay, for milk, 1 to 2 glasses a day. For those who are at risk of obesity, we recommend low fat or fat-free milk. For meat, you can see from the picture that most of the meat shown here is fish, not animal, not red meat here, no. But most of the thing is fish or seafood. 6 to 12 tablespoons per day. And minimal oil, sugar, and salt. Okay, so this thing is in the small portion of the fat. We can use this one to like tools for educating to healthy diet for prevention of obesity, and at the same time for control weight. We can use this one as well to as a tool to communicate with patients. And also we can use this one to communicate. If you eat this much calorie, you have to walk run 1 hour. This is one donut, and this is a French fry, small box. You need to play badminton 1 hour, and if you eat fried chicken like this, or a pack or a bag of crisps, 320 kilocalories, you need to cycling 1 hour. So this also is a tool that we communicate with patients, used to communicate with patients. Only exercise cannot, I mean, normal exercise that we normal people take, not those actors or those idol who keep in the gym, in the fitness center for the whole days. Those people, yes, they can use exercise to reduce weight, but for us, we cannot spend that much time. For normal exercise only cannot reduce weight well. Just we have to combine with diet control, okay? But adding exercise to diet control will affect the cardiometabolic risk. This is the benefit of having exercise, especially resistance training. It will increase HDL cholesterol, reduce blood sugar, and reduce fasting insulin, and maintain the weight loss. For activity for children, we recommend moderate intensity exercise at least 60 minutes every day for cardio and respiratory health, and limit the sedentary activity, watching television or look at the tablet. Screen time should be less than 1 hour per day, but for those 2 years, less than 2 years, no screen time. The idea is no screen time. We small kids need people to talk and to play with, not to play with the screen. Okay, for children more than 2 years, okay, 2 hours per day. To communicate with teachers and parents, when we say that exercise is good for health, it will help reduce obesity, it's not catching them. But if we say that it's good for height, oh yes, they want their kids to taller. But for teacher, they like this one. Enhance memory and learning capacity. This is there's evidence from study that exercise before the class will enhance short-term memory and learning. Goal of weight management is, if the patient is at risk, we just counseling to prevent obesity. If it's overweight, we maintain their weight until height catch up with weight. But for mild obese weight reduction is the strategy. For morbid obese with complication, we have to reduce weight at least 5% and treat comorbid. Maybe we have to refer to specialists for treat diabetes or for treat obstructive sleep apnea, something like that. But dealing with obesity very complex. It's the complex system. Is not like malnutrition, not like undernutrition. Sorry, not like undernutrition. Undernutrition, we just increase the economic status, and in the initial we give food, something like that. We can overcome that. But obesity system is very complex. This is a simple one, not a complex one. If the complex one, it's very incomprehensible. It's not only in the family. This is the individual, the children themselves. This is the family parenting, but it also involves community and their environment. Most importantly for children is school lunch program and school physical education program. School lunch and what sell in the in school also affect nutrition, affect obesity of children. We did a study quite some time ago all over the country, and we found that those schools who provide vegetable in their food, in their lunch, at least 3 days a week, have a lower prevalence of obesity. You can see now here, have fruit and vegetable. And those, you can see, this is the sweetened beverage. This is the line for sweetened beverage, and this is the line for water, just water. You can see students like to go to the line and they have to pay, but this is free. So we have to work with the vendor to reduce amount of sugar. We have a guideline that recommend to vendor and to school, reduce the sugar level. So student will get less sugar and less energy. For policy factors, we found that for school that gets support from food and beverage industry, when they have activity, for example, they have sport day or they have other activity, they have this soda soft drink company come in and have booth given the beverage for free. This school that accept the support have higher prevalence of obesity. And also the environment outside the school, after school day, children come out and parents buy this fried food sold in front of the school. School that have this environment, students who are in this school are 2 times likely to become obese. And you can see this is food in the daycare. It's so nice. This is brown rice, and this is also fruit, nicely orange, nicely served. But this is a snack. You can see this snack. This snack is flour, only flour and sugar and some coconut milk. So every lunch is okay, but snack is energy dense, poor nutrients. So this is our guideline. We recommend that at least vegetables should be vegetables should be given every day, 4 to 6 tablespoons every day. Fruit is more expensive for some area, so fruit should be given 3 days a week instead of that snack that you see. And snack and beverage in school there should be no energy dense snack, those crisps, those high fat, salt and sugar. And school should provide adequate supply of safe drinking water for free. No soft drink in school. If they're going to sell, I mean, the vendor you saw in the last slide, sugar should be no more than 5%. I mean, 1 liter, no more than 5 grams of sucrose or sugar. And if the beverage served with ice, we recommend no more than 10%. As I told you, obesity system much more complex. It's not only school and community, it's the whole society and also international. It's the problem of the legislation, social policy, and trade as well, and also the commercial practice. This is a nice graph done by the World Obesity Group, and they show that this is the prevalence of overweight. This is the number of advertisement about the sweet and fatty food advertisement, and you say it correct very well. With higher number of advertisement higher that in that country. This is from USA, Australia, and 8 European countries. That country have higher prevalence of obesity. But if there's some healthy food advertisement in the television, you can see that with higher number of healthy food advertisement, the prevalence of obesity is lower. In Thailand, we have bring this up to the higher level. The problem of obesity is the problem of obesity of all age, not only in children. And we had this in the National Health Assembly in 2009. We brought this into this meeting, and we have the resolution that look at the food, food and diet, and also in one group of the strategy on food and diet, and second group of strategy on physical activity, third group of activity of strategy on health service, and the fourth group on the knowledge and information management. And this is the public policy and legislation we have relating to overweight and obesity for the past 10 years or more than that. In 2006, we have a regulation by the ministry, public health ministry, no added sugar, because before that, our follow-on formula have sugar in it, have sucrose or honey in it. So we work with the dentist group, and then we are successful to get this ministry regulation that inhibit added sucrose or honey in follow-on formula. And this is another ministry regulation that acquire that the industry must have the nutrition labeling, so people who are well educated can read whether these have high fat or not on 7 groups of snacks which are popular among children. And we have sugar tax on beverage with high sugar. The amount of tax is according to the amount of sugar in the beverage. This is effective 2017, and last year increased the level of tax. We will increase the level of tax every 2 years. Milk Code Act, we have Milk Code Act on Code of Marketing of Breast Milk Substitute, effective 2017. And also trans fat, we have the Government Gazette Public Notification, is a legislation, and prohibit the production or import or distribute of trans fat. This effective 180 days after July, that is January 2019. Is effective. Now we don't have trans fat in our country, hopefully. And we also have some tools for consumer to choose which product to buy. This is the healthier logo. This is healthier logo for main meal. This is for beverage. This one is for also for condiment. The healthier logo means that comparison to the old formulation, comparison to the previous formulation of the same brand, the one with this logo means that have lower fat, sugar, and fat, sugar, and energy. Okay, fat, sugar, sodium. Okay. We also have applications like this for people to use. This is food I eat. They can record what they eat, and then there will be information pop up that how much calorie they eat, and they have to do how much exercise. This is another app about food choice. They can use to scan the barcode of the product. When they scan, then if this is the product that they scan, this is the yogurt, And then that come up this. This is for energy, green. Okay, they use the traffic light color code. Okay, this is green. Green means okay for energy, okay for sugar, green for fat, green for saturated fat. This is calcium. This is protein. So protein is not high, it's moderate, and calcium is not also moderate. If they want, and then in the app, I mean in the app, it will offer, the app will offer other products for us to choose, for the consumer to choose. This product have green also for calcium. Better for this one, better than this one, right? Because they have a green for calcium, but worse for protein, no protein. So it's the consumer to decide whether they can have protein from other source, but they want more calcium for this product. So they can decide, because we have also, this is the recommendation. This is recommendation for hypertension, what they should choose. The product, they should choose product with low sugar, low fat, okay, and low. And then this is for obesity, this for diabetes, this for pregnant women, this for children. We also have the advice, so they read this and then they decide which product they should choose to match their disease condition or their physiologic condition. Okay.